A Navy sergeant reveals a photograph of two massive underwater runways. Former Navy Sergeant Butch Diaz, a seasoned marine planner with decades of experience in underwater navigation and oceanographic mapping, has recently shared a fascinating claim that has caught the attention of those intrigued by underwater mysteries. While working on charting maritime areas south of Cuba, Sergeant Diaz reportedly encountered something entirely unexpected, what he believes to be a possible underwater base. His discovery, based on sonar imaging and satellite overlays, shows an area beneath the ocean's surface that he describes as featuring precise symmetry, which he insists is not characteristic of natural formations. Sergeant Diaz stated that while reviewing photographic scans of this region, he noticed what appeared to be two long, intersecting lines beneath the surface. These formations resembled runways or long, flat strips of terrain laid out in exact geometric fashion. Given the remote and largely unexplored nature of this underwater area, the presence of such defined and angular shapes immediately stood out to him. According to Diaz, these images did not correspond with any geological features typically formed by natural tectonic or sedimentary processes. Adding to the mystery, Diaz explained that he had spent decades working with underwater mapping systems and studying subaquatic environments for both strategic and research-based military operations. Over his long career, he had become intimately familiar with the appearance of coral beds, sandbanks, underwater ridges, and volcanic formations. However, what he saw in this specific region south of Cuba, he said, did not match any known natural phenomena. In his view, it seemed too deliberate, too symmetrical, to have been shaped by nature alone. One particularly compelling aspect of Diaz's account is the corroboration from local Cuban fishermen. According to multiple sources from coastal villages near the area, strange glowing objects have often been seen emerging from or diving into the ocean, particularly at night. These sightings have occurred over many years and have been passed down through generations. The objects are often described as emitting a radiant glow, moving silently, and vanishing into the depths of the sea without a trace. The consistency of these accounts adds a layer of credibility and intrigue to Sergeant Diaz's discovery. While some skeptics argue that sonar and satellite imagery can sometimes produce optical illusions or distortions that may resemble artificial shapes, Diaz maintains that the clarity and precision of the intersecting lines in the images he studied were unmistakable. He emphasized that the photographic evidence showed clear right angles and runway-like strips stretching across the ocean floor, patterns that are exceedingly rare in untouched underwater terrain. If his interpretation is correct, this discovery may indicate the presence of a structure hidden deep beneath the sea, potentially built by a highly advanced group, whether human or otherwise. Theories have emerged suggesting that if this is in fact a base, it could be part of a classified project or something entirely beyond the scope of current scientific understanding. The idea that an unknown base lies beneath the Caribbean waters near Cuba evokes parallels with long-standing legends of underwater civilizations and unexplained marine activity in places like the Bermuda Triangle. Despite the controversy surrounding his claims, Sergeant Diaz remains confident in what he saw. His background in marine planning and his decades of service lend credibility to his observations. He has urged for further investigation of the region using updated sonar imaging and submersible technology to determine whether the formations he documented could truly be remnants of an underwater facility or runway system. As of now, no official follow-up has been made public, but those who follow unexplained oceanic phenomena continue to point to Sergeant Diaz's discovery as a potentially groundbreaking revelation. Whether the formations are man-made, natural anomalies, or something else entirely, the waters south of Cuba may be hiding secrets yet to be fully explored. Gary McKinnon hacked NASA and found evidence of off-world crafts. Gary McKinnon, a British computer enthusiast, rose to international notoriety in the early 2000s after being accused of infiltrating US military and NASA computer systems. At the heart of his actions was a compelling motivation, not malice, but a determined search for information regarding UFOs, advanced propulsion systems, and potential contact with extraterrestrial life. What followed became one of the most talked about hacking cases in history and continues to fuel debate about hidden technologies and secret programs beyond public knowledge. McKinnon claimed his interest in hacking into these sensitive systems stemmed from a desire to uncover evidence of suppressed technological advances and proof of non-human intelligence. Among his most unusual discoveries was a folder located on a computer at NASA's Johnson Space Center titled Unfiltered. Inside this folder, McKinnon said he found a thumbnail image of a large, unidentified object in space. According to him, the object appeared cigar-shaped, highly detailed, and far more advanced in design than any spacecraft known to the public. He tried to download the full-resolution image to get a better look, but the slow speed of the network, combined with his unauthorized access being abruptly cut off, prevented him from saving the file. Still, McKinnon insisted that what he saw was not a satellite or space station module. It looked entirely unfamiliar, potentially suggesting the presence of a classified spacecraft or even a craft of non-terrestrial origin. The shape and construction of the object remained vivid in his memory, and it became a core part of the narrative he would later share with the media. In addition to the image, McKinnon reported accessing documents that hinted at something even more extraordinary. He found Excel spreadsheets that detailed what appeared to be the organizational structure of a fleet. One spreadsheet contained a list of names and ranks of personnel, none of whom appeared in any known military database. Another included references to material transfers between ships. McKinnon noted that the ship names did not match any known Navy vessels or space missions. To him, this implied the existence of a clandestine space fleet, possibly operating in orbit or beyond. These revelations led him to believe that the United States might be managing a secretive space program far more advanced than anything acknowledged by NASA or the US military. This theory aligns with a wider body of speculation surrounding the idea of a secret space program, a term often used to describe an alleged network of space vehicles, technology, and personnel operating off-world under a veil of deep secrecy. Critics of McKinnon's claims argue that his discoveries may have been misunderstood or overinterpreted. However, others believe his account adds credibility to long-standing theories that suggest humanity may already possess spacefaring technologies that are hidden from the public eye. Supporters point to whistleblowers, classified patents, and unexplained aerial phenomena as further evidence that some level of advanced, undisclosed technology may exist. The US government's response to McKinnon's actions was swift and severe. He faced extradition and potentially decades in prison. However, after years of legal battles, the extradition was ultimately blocked by the British government, citing health concerns. Despite this, McKinnon's story continues to provoke intrigue and conversation. If even part of what McKinnon claimed is accurate, the implications are profound. The existence of secret military space operations, undisclosed contact with non-human intelligence, or even advanced propulsion systems could change everything humanity understands about its place in the universe. His case remains a unique intersection of cyber intrusion, government secrecy, and the enduring mystery of what lies beyond Earth's atmosphere. Whether regarded as a reckless hacker or a whistleblower seeking truth, Gary McKinnon's journey opened a door to questions that remain unanswered to this day. The Pharaoh's Curse. On November 4, 1922, a momentous discovery was made deep in the Valley of the Kings as British archaeologist Howard Carter and his financial backer, George Herbert, the 5th Earl of Carnarvon, unearthed the tomb of the young pharaoh Tutankhamun. Unlike most other tombs that had long been looted or disturbed, King Tut's final resting place remained nearly untouched by time. The tomb was a treasure trove of elaborate artifacts, sealed chambers, and golden relics, offering a window into the wealth and mystique of ancient Egypt. But as the excavation team marveled at their success, an ancient warning carved in stone loomed over their triumph. According to Howard Carter, a particular inscription stood out among the hieroglyphics in the tomb. It translated to a chilling curse. "Cursed be those that disturb the rest of the pharaoh. They that shall break the seal of this tomb shall meet death by a disease which no doctor can diagnose." Whether considered a superstition, a symbolic warning, or an actual threat, the words seemed to cast a shadow over what should have been a celebratory moment. Shortly after the tomb's opening, strange events began to unfold. Just 5 months later, Lord Carnarvon, who had funded the expedition, suffered a mosquito bite. The wound became infected unexpectedly, and despite medical efforts, he succumbed to what was described as sepsis and systemic complications. The mystery surrounding his sudden and tragic passing sent a wave of speculation through both scientific and public communities. The media quickly revived talk of an ancient curse, suggesting that perhaps the old warning had been more than metaphor. Adding to the eeriness, 5 months after George Herbert's passing, his brother Aubrey Herbert also fell ill. He, too, reportedly experienced a fast-spreading infection that led to a similar medical outcome. This pattern of unexplained health issues, particularly among those closely connected to the tomb's opening, gave weight to the belief that disturbing the pharaoh's rest had unleashed a mysterious and inescapable force. But the pattern did not stop with the Herbert family. One of George Herbert's close friends, Sir Bruce Ingham, became indirectly involved when he received a peculiar gift from the Earl before his passing. Among the relics was a paperweight that held a mummified hand wearing a bracelet. The bracelet bore another ominous message: "Cursed be he who moves my body." After accepting this gift, Ingham's house inexplicably caught fire. As if that were not strange enough, once he began efforts to rebuild, a sudden flood struck the property, halting all progress and compounding the misfortune. These events, when considered together, began to form a narrative far beyond coincidence in the public imagination. Though skeptics pointed to natural causes and unfortunate timing, others saw a more mysterious force at play. The idea of a pharaoh's curse captivated the world, intertwining ancient superstition with modern tragedy. Books, films, and documentaries would later explore the so-called curse of the pharaoh, keeping the legend alive for generations. While Howard Carter himself lived for many years after the tomb's discovery, the streak of unexplained misfortunes affecting those involved or connected added to the sense that something beyond logic had been set into motion. The concept of cursed artifacts is deeply rooted in many ancient cultures, and Egypt, with its rich spiritual beliefs about death and the afterlife, is perhaps the most famous source of such legends. Whether the strange series of events were linked by a true supernatural force or were merely coincidental, the story of King Tut's tomb and those who came into contact with it continues to intrigue people around the world. The curse of the pharaoh remains one of history's most haunting mysteries, blending archaeology with folklore and cautioning against the disruption of ancient rest. The mysterious disappearance of Gary Shearer. The mysterious disappearance of Gary Shearer continues to haunt his family and those following the case. The 53-year-old man from Renfrewshire, Scotland, vanished shortly after arriving on the island of Lanzarote for a holiday in March 2023. 2 years later, his loved ones are still searching for answers and are preparing to return to Spain in hopes of persuading the authorities to reopen the investigation into his case. Gary had travelled to the island to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, a trip that was meant to be cheerful and relaxed. He had checked into his hotel in Puerto del Carmen on the 16th of March and messaged his mother around 5 in the afternoon to let her know he had arrived safely. He also mentioned his plan to visit a local establishment, Bar 67. That was the last confirmed communication his family received from him. CCTV footage captured a troubling timeline. In the early hours of the 17th of March, Gary was seen lying unconscious in a doorway near the bar. Later, additional surveillance footage showed him walking alongside an unidentified man, believed to be between 60 and 70 years old, with grey hair. Despite the circulation of the footage, the man has never been identified or located, and no one has come forward with information about who he may be. Gary's family believes this man could be the key to understanding what happened that night. As the days passed without contact from Gary, concern grew. The alarm was not raised with Spanish authorities until he failed to board his return flight to Scotland. Once a missing person report was filed, police searched his hotel room and discovered his passport, bank card, and medication for diabetes still there, along with other personal items. However, there was no sign of his mobile phone. The presence of his essentials in the room, especially his medicine, raised serious concerns about his well-being and whether he had intended to disappear voluntarily. The investigation, which was initially taken up by Spain's Civil Guard, was eventually closed due to a lack of information. Gary's family, however, strongly believed that more could have been done and that new leads may still be uncovered. His niece, Darcy Deeney, has become one of the most vocal advocates in the family's quest for answers. She, along with Gary's mother, is now traveling to Spain to try and generate renewed public and police interest in the case. Darcy has stated that the family has come to terms with the likelihood that Gary will not return, but they are desperate for clarity about what occurred. The unanswered questions weigh heavily on them, and the hope is that someone on the island remembers something, perhaps even a detail they did not initially think was important. The family's belief that something suspicious may have occurred has only grown stronger with time. They are calling for anyone who might have information, however minor it may seem, to come forward. Whether it is a witness who saw Gary in the area, someone who recognizes the man in the CCTV footage, or even someone who may have spoken with Gary that evening, any detail could make a difference in potentially reopening the investigation. This situation is not only about closure for the family, but also about ensuring that no possibility is left unexplored. In many unresolved cases, breakthroughs come from unexpected sources or witnesses who come forward after seeing renewed media coverage. The family hopes that their return to the island and the attention it brings will lead to just such a moment. As time passes, the disappearance of Gary Shearer remains one of the most unsettling mysteries in recent years. His family continues to push forward with determination and courage, fueled by the hope that the truth will eventually come to light. Scientists are investigating a mysterious underground anomaly near the Giza pyramids. Scientists are currently investigating a mysterious underground anomaly discovered near the Giza pyramids, a site long revered for its ancient marvels and mysterious architecture. This latest development stems from new research utilizing advanced, non-invasive technologies that have revealed unusual structures buried beneath the surface of a royal graveyard neighboring the Great Pyramid of Giza. These findings may offer fresh insight into the still unfolding secrets of ancient Egypt and hint at previously unknown architectural components hidden beneath one of the most iconic archaeological sites in the world. The Great Pyramid, built in honor of Pharaoh Khufu, remains the largest pyramid in Egypt and continues to captivate scholars and explorers alike. Adjacent to this colossal structure lies a necropolis filled with mastabas, above-ground tombs constructed with flat roofs and rectangular layouts, traditionally made from limestone or mud brick. These tombs serve as the resting places for Khufu's family members and high-ranking officials from his reign. Most of the mastabas in this area were excavated during the 20th century, offering extensive knowledge about burial customs and architectural practices of the Old Kingdom. Yet, one specific area within the necropolis had remained curiously untouched. It lacked any notable surface-level features and had long been overlooked in favor of more visibly significant sites. Between 2021 and 2023, researchers from Higashi Nippon International University and Tohoku University in Japan, in collaboration with Egypt's National Research Institute of Astronomy and Geophysics, decided to focus their attention on this vacant section. Instead of traditional excavation methods, the team opted for a high-tech, non-invasive approach, employing ground-penetrating radar and electrical resistivity tomography. These imaging technologies allowed the researchers to analyze what lay beneath the surface without disrupting the site. What they discovered was unexpected: a shallow, clearly defined L-shaped structure connected to a deeper, less understood form. The shallow structure appeared to be purposefully filled with sand, leading researchers to believe it may have once served as an entryway to something deeper. This entrance, measuring roughly 33 feet in length and buried around 6.5 feet below the surface, is unlike anything naturally occurring. The L-shape itself, according to the researchers, could not have formed through natural geological processes, suggesting deliberate human design. Beneath this entrance lies what the team has referred to as a highly resistive anomaly, indicating the presence of a deeper structure with unknown contents. The precise nature of this deeper structure remains unclear. It could be an empty chamber, or it might contain dense materials such as gravel, sand, or even hidden artifacts. Regardless, the discovery points strongly toward a man-made origin. Experts emphasize that while the findings are still in their early stages, they carry immense archaeological potential. The researchers state that the scan results support the possibility of archaeological remains buried in this section of the necropolis, and they argue for prompt excavation to further examine the purpose and contents of the structures. Excavations have since begun, led by Professor Motoyuki Sato of Tohoku University, a specialist in electromagnetic sensing, He remains confident that the geometry of the anomaly suggests it is not a natural feature and that it warrants serious investigation. The Giza Plateau has long fascinated scholars for its architectural sophistication and enduring mysteries. While the discovery of mastaba tombs with subterranean chambers is not unusual for the area, the placement and structure of this particular anomaly stand out. Most mastabas are accompanied by visible surface markers, but this anomaly lies beneath an area previously regarded as unremarkable, raising questions about why it was built there and what it might contain. Peter de Manuelian, a noted Egyptologist from Harvard University who is not involved in the study, commented on the unusual nature of the structure. He acknowledged that while L-shaped offering chapels have been found in Giza, they are typically constructed above ground. The presence of such a shape buried beneath the surface, with no external tomb marking its location, is unprecedented and increases the intrigue surrounding this discovery. This investigation adds another layer of complexity to the already rich tapestry of Giza's archaeological record. As scientists continue to peel back the layers of time, using modern technology to glimpse into ancient practices, discoveries like these challenge long-held assumptions and offer tantalising possibilities. It's the winter of 1978 in the American Midwest, and Stephen Kubaki, a student from Hope College, is taking advantage of the last days of February before spring begins to go skiing. He leaves his student digs to go on a solo cross-country skiing trip. Kubaki was an accomplished outdoorsman who climbed mountains in Europe and was an avid cross-country skier. Familiar with the area, this was an ordinary weekend pursuit for Kubaki and to those at college who knew him. However, this small excursion would end up being far from ordinary. Several days later, the alarm was raised when Kubaki failed to return from what should have been a day's activity. At the same time, snowmobilers on the southeastern shore of Lake Michigan had come across a set of abandoned skis and ski poles. The police knew immediately who they belonged to. A search party was sent out, utilizing both land and air rescue, with helicopters and locals deployed to find Stephen. Only 2 more things were subsequently discovered: Stephen's backpack and his footprints in the deep frozen snow. However, there was something off about the scene. The backpack looked as if it had been abruptly thrown to the ground, and the heavy footprints disappeared into nothingness, as if Kubaki had walked out of reality. Looking to close off the case with a sense of logic, police figured a more rational explanation. Close to the shores of frozen Lake Michigan, Stephen must have removed his skis and wandered too close to the water, falling through the ice and drowning in the watery depths below. His friends grieved, his family mourned, and life returned to normal as the months passed by. That is until, 15 months later, Stephen Kubaki walked straight through the door of his family house, over 500 miles away. Stephen told his recollection of events as best he could. That day, May 5, 1979, he woke up on a grassy knoll in Massachusetts, some 700 miles due east from where he disappeared. He was wearing clothes that were not his, had items such as maps and signs that were neither his nor written by him, and he had no concept of the amount of time that had passed. It was only when he was able to purchase a newspaper he would realize that he had re-emerged to consciousness 15 months later than when he first set off. The last thing he remembered before this was striding forwards on his skis, and he made his way around Lake Michigan. Before he knew it, however, he experienced a momentary blip, being enveloped in a cold and frozen darkness that hurried him from one point to another, which felt like he was running. Aside from this, he had no other details to give. And yet the mystery of what happened that day in February 1978 was perhaps less about Kubaki and more about where he was. Urban myths run rife that Lake Michigan is home to cross-dimensional disappearances, and oddly enough, it's not just Kubaki who went missing in this area. Ships, planes, and other people have all disappeared, and for whom there was never any trace of again. As of today, Kubaki's disappearance and reappearance remain a mystery. The mysterious phone call and disappearance of Brandon Swanson. In the early hours of May 14, 2008, Brandon Swanson, a 19-year-old student from Minnesota, vanished without a trace after calling his parents for help following a minor car accident. What began as a routine call for assistance soon turned into a baffling mystery that has perplexed investigators, haunted his family, and captivated those who have followed the case. Despite extensive searches and numerous theories, The disappearance of Brandon Swanson remains unsolved, leaving behind a series of questions that may never be answered. On May 14, 2008, Swanson embarked on a celebration with friends to mark the conclusion of that year's classes. That evening, he participated in 2 local meetings. The first one took place in Lind, which is close to his home in Marshall. The second event was in Canby, around 35 miles away from his home. Swanson departed from Canby after midnight to drive home, a journey he often undertook as part of his daily commute to and from school. However, on that particular night, rather than opting for the most efficient route between Canby and Marshall, which is Minnesota State Highway 68, Swanson decided to go through less traveled rural farmland roads, possibly with the intention of evading law enforcement. Regardless of his motives, he quickly encountered difficulties. Swanson's vehicle swerved off the road and ended up in a ditch adjacent to an agricultural field. Due to the high position of the car's wheels, it was unable to gain sufficient traction to reverse out of the ditch. At approximately 1:54 in the morning, Swanson contacted his parents to request transportation back to his residence. He informed them that he was in close proximity to Lind, around 10 minutes away from their residence in Marshall. Swanson's parents departed to retrieve him, maintaining their connection to the conversation while driving. However, upon arrival, they encountered only complete darkness. Emotions escalated into the early hours as irritations intensified. Swanson terminated the call at a certain moment. Upon receiving a call from his mother, Swanson's parents were informed that he would just retrace his steps towards his friend's residence in Lind. Swanson's father left his wife at home and proceeded towards Lind, maintaining a phone conversation with his son. While traversing through the darkness, Swanson proposed that his parents rendezvous with him in the parking lot of a renowned nightclub in Lind. He then opted to take a more direct route by traversing a field. Swanson's father perceived the sound of his son's footsteps, but immediately after this, the phone call ended. It would be the final utterance that anyone heard from Brandon Swanson. Despite his parents' persistent attempts to reach him, Swanson's phone constantly redirected their calls to voicemail. Throughout the entire night, Swanson's parents, along with assistance from his friends, fruitlessly combed across the vast expanse of gravel roads and farms in the rural area. At 6:30 the following morning, Annette, Brandon's mother, contacted the Lind Police Department to inform them that her son was not present. The police stated that Swanson, being a teenage college student, was not unusual for a young adult to be out all night after completing college classes. As the passage of time continued without Swanson's reappearance, local law enforcement personnel ultimately joined the search and then called for a search response over the entire county. Swanson's phone remained operational, and law enforcement used triangulation to determine the precise location of his final call by identifying the closest mobile tower. Porter was located approximately 20 miles from Swanson's original location. The police focused their search efforts to the vicinity surrounding Porter, and later that day, they discovered Swanson's green Chevy Lumina sedan. The vehicle was trapped in a trench located on Lyon-Lincoln Road, namely between Porter and Taunton. However, law enforcement officials could not discover any evidence of criminal activity or the presence of Swanson. A comprehensive search, utilizing police canines, aerial surveillance, and a large number of volunteers, commenced. The canine team guided officers approximately 3 miles away from the ditch to the Yellow Medicine River, which was running with great speed and volume before the scent of Swanson was no longer detectable. Swanson's personal belongings or clothing were not found along the route to the river or within the 2-mile section of the river, which typically takes approximately 6 hours to traverse. During a span of 3 weeks, search and cadaver dogs were unable to locate any items or remains. Swanson had mysteriously disappeared into the remote agricultural areas and secondary highways of Minnesota. In late 2008, Emergency Support Services, a search and rescue organization headquartered in Minneapolis, designated a specific area of 140 square miles as their primary target for search operations. Nevertheless, several farmers declined to grant access to search hounds on their property, especially during the periods of planting and harvest, resulting in substantial gaps in the search for Swanson. The problem continues unabated up until the present time. While others speculate that Swanson may have fallen into the river and been carried away by the current, investigators consider this scenario doubtful due to the fact that his body was never found. In a similar manner, if Swanson had accidentally fallen into the river, successfully made his way back to solid ground, and eventually passed away from hypothermia, a trained dog that detects humans would probably have picked up on his odor. According to news outlets, Swanson's mother expressed skepticism regarding this outcome, as a tracking dog had traced Swanson's smell from his car to an abandoned farm over a lengthy gravel path. The trace, which spanned a distance of 3 miles, also extended to the river. At first, the dog sprang into the water, then promptly returned to land and proceeded to follow another gravel route until it could no longer detect Swanson's scent. In autumn 2021, the Yellow Medicine River experienced desiccation due to a severe drought, prompting law enforcement to conduct an unfruitful excavation. The case of Swanson has not gone cold due to the ongoing receipt of tips by law enforcement. As of right now, no tangible evidence pertaining to Brandon Swanson has been found, such as his mobile phone, car keys, or clothing. Consequently, his parents are left just with recollections and the haunting memory of his final phone conversation. The mysterious disappearance of Brian Schaffer. Brian Schaffer, a 27-year-old medical student at Ohio State University, disappeared on April 1, 2006, after being recorded by surveillance cameras entering the Ugly Tuna Saloona. Brian Schaffer, a second-year medical student at Ohio State, had a promising future. However, everything took a different turn when a night out to commemorate the start of spring break resulted in his sudden vanishing. Brian Schaffer mysteriously disappeared after casually visiting many bars with his flatmate in the presence of numerous bar patrons shortly before 2 a.m. Schaffer expressed to his peers that his true aim was to establish a musical group. He was attracted to the tropical lifestyle associated with Jimmy Buffett and had such a strong admiration for Pearl Jam that he got their insignia permanently inked on his bicep. He encountered his girlfriend, Alexis Wagoner, in 2006. Additionally, she was a second-year student at medical school. The individuals in the couple's inner circle were under the impression that he intended to propose to her during their scheduled spring break vacation in Miami, which occurred shortly before Schaffer went missing. In 2006, Brian Schaffer's family experienced their first loss when his mother succumbed to bone cancer. On March 31, 2006, Brian Schaffer and his roommate William Clint Florence went to the Ugly Tuna Saloona pub in Columbus's University District to relax after their spring finals. At approximately 10 in the evening, Schaffer contacted his girlfriend to verify their travel plans and express his affection for her. Following the consumption of alcoholic drinks at the Ugly Tuna, the two individuals leisurely walked to the Arena District and short north. There, they encountered Meredith Reed, a friend of Florence's, who kindly volunteered to provide transportation back to the Ugly Tuna. According to the security tape outside the Ugly Tuna, it was determined that all 3 individuals used the escalator to reach the bar's door on the 2nd floor around 1:15 in the morning. Schaffer inexplicably appeared outside before 2 in the morning and was observed engaging in casual conversation with 2 women in their 20s before disappearing. Florence and Reed attempted to contact him multiple times, but were unsuccessful, and subsequently returned home upon the closure of the bar. Throughout the whole weekend, Randy Schaffer and Wagoner made multiple attempts to contact him, but he did not respond to any of their calls. Brian failed to catch his flight on Monday morning. On that day, he was officially classified as a missing person. During the initial days of his absence, a maximum of 50 police officers conducted a search for him simultaneously. All of Schaffer's friends and relatives, with the exception of his flatmate who declined, were interrogated and successfully cleared lie detector tests. Curiously, the 2 women with whom he was observed conversing were not requested to undergo testing. According to reports, Wagoner made a daily attempt to contact him on his mobile, but it consistently remained unanswered and went directly to voicemail. However, on one particular night in September, his phone really rang 3 times. However, Schaffer's wireless provider said that the issue could have been caused by a computer malfunction. Furthermore, his phone lacked GPS capabilities, rendering its whereabouts indeterminable. However, a signal from the phone was identified at a cellular tower situated 14 miles northwest of Columbus. Despite the information available, the Columbus Police Department remained perplexed by the case of Brian Schaffer's disappearance. even though Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam mentioned it during a show in Cincinnati. The conclusive video footage captured by the security cameras at the Ugly Tuna unequivocally depicted Brian Schaffer stepping away from the camera's view and then returning towards the door of the pub, after which he vanished completely. It is plausible that the cameras inadvertently failed to capture Schaffer's departure from the scene. However, one camera executed a continuous panning motion while the other was operated manually. In addition to another exit, the bar also had an exit that led to a disorderly construction site. Investigators then speculated whether Schaffer's disappearance was intentional. He had the option to alter his attire or depart by the exit that connected to the building site. However, Schaffer's family has consistently maintained that there was no reason for him to fabricate his disappearance. Furthermore, it appeared that he had a greater number of positive experiences to anticipate rather than to evade. When Brian Schaffer's credit cards, bank accounts, and cell phone were unused for over a year, his family started to doubt his survival. Schaffer's sole surviving family member is his younger brother, who is currently engaged in the ongoing effort to locate him. In 2020, a glimmer of hope emerged and quickly faded when a photograph of an individual, appearing to be an American guy living without a home in Mexico, surfaced and gained widespread attention due to his striking likeness to Schaffer. Following meticulous face analysis, the FBI concluded that it was not him. As of right now, Schaffer has not been seen or heard from since. Two huge cigar-shaped UFOs hovering above California. In the evening of December 23, 2020, residents of Orange County, a region in Southern California known for its sunny beaches and vibrant communities, were greeted with a sight that left many questioning their eyes and the boundaries of reality. During the night, two massive, bright, cigar-shaped objects were photographed, hovering silently in the sky above the county. The strange sighting, which quickly became the talk of the town, sparked a flurry of speculation, intrigue, and debate about what exactly these unidentified flying objects were and where they might have come from. The late night of December 23rd was unremarkable in many ways. However, as the night rolled in, several eyewitnesses noticed something highly unusual. Two enormous, cigar-shaped objects were suspended in the sky, shining brightly. The objects were described as long and cylindrical, with smooth surfaces and no discernible wings, tails, or engines. Witnesses quickly grabbed their cameras and phones to capture the strange phenomenon, resulting in a series of photographs that would soon circulate widely online. The images clearly showed the two objects hovering at a significant altitude, side by side, with a calm and steady presence. Unlike conventional aircraft, these objects emitted no sound, and their hovering behavior defied the laws of aerodynamics as understood by modern science. The sightings were reported by multiple individuals from different parts of Orange County, adding credibility to the accounts. People described a sense of awe and confusion, unsure of what they were witnessing, but certain that it was something out of the ordinary. As the morning progressed, the objects remained visible for some time before suddenly accelerating at incredible speeds, vanishing from sight as abruptly as they had appeared. The photographs taken by witnesses provide some of the most compelling evidence of the sighting. In the images, the two cigar-shaped objects stand out against the morning sky, their sleek, elongated forms unmistakably distinct from the clouds and other atmospheric features. The objects appear metallic, reflecting light in a way that suggests they are made of a material not commonly seen in conventional aircraft. Experts and enthusiasts alike have analyzed the photographs, looking for clues that might explain the nature of these objects. Some have pointed out that the cigar shape is a recurring theme in UFO sightings, often associated with large, advanced craft that are possibly of extraterrestrial origin. The fact that these objects were seen in tandem, hovering in close proximity to each other, adds another layer of mystery, suggesting a coordinated presence rather than random or isolated incidents. One of the most striking aspects of the photographs is the apparent size of the objects. Witnesses estimated that the UFOs were each several hundred feet in length, making them significantly larger than any known aircraft. Their sheer scale, combined with their silent hovering, challenges conventional explanations and points to the possibility that these objects were not of human origin. As news of the sighting spread, various theories emerged in an attempt to explain the phenomenon. The most common and immediate suggestion was that the objects were some form of advanced military aircraft, possibly undergoing secret testing. Given Orange County's proximity to several military installations and aerospace companies, this theory seemed plausible to some. However, the lack of visible propulsion systems, the silent operation, and the unprecedented speed at which the objects departed make this explanation difficult to accept. Another theory posited that the objects were drones, perhaps part of a large-scale operation or an elaborate hoax. However, the size and behavior of the objects make this explanation unlikely, as current drone technology cannot replicate the characteristics observed during the sighting. The possibility that the objects were atmospheric phenomena or optical illusions was also considered. Some skeptics suggested that the cigar-shaped UFOs could have been elongated clouds. However, this theory fails to account for the consistency of the sightings from multiple locations, the sharpness of the objects' outlines in the photographs, and their sudden, coordinated departure. For many, the most intriguing theory is that the objects were extraterrestrial in origin. The cigar shape, which has been reported in numerous UFO sightings around the world, is often associated with large interstellar craft. The idea that these objects could be visiting Earth, possibly observing or studying human activity, captures the imagination and aligns with the broader narrative of UFO sightings and encounters reported throughout history. The incident also highlights the importance of keeping an open mind when encountering the unknown. While it is easy to dismiss such sightings as mere illusions or misunderstandings, the consistent and credible accounts from multiple witnesses suggest that something extraordinary did occur that morning in Orange County. The Ilkley Moor incident. Many have often referred to the Ilkley Moor incident as one of the most compelling pieces of evidence surrounding the claims of encounters with advanced beings. This is due, in part, to the photographic evidence that had been gathered of the event by the witness that claimed he had later been taken by the beings he had encountered. According to the report, a man by the name of Philip Spencer had moved to the West Yorkshire area after leaving his old job to be closer with his family. Prior to this move, Philip Spencer had worked as a police officer for more than 4 years and was more than respected as a hard-working and honest citizen. During his move to West Yorkshire, he had noticed a strange number of lights often seen in the fog. Many others would confirm their sightings of these strange lights as well, but would often retort that it was probably lights from airplanes flying around the military bases and airports nearby. These strange claims led Philip Spencer to buy a high-end camera at the time, in the attempt to gather evidence of these foggy lights and look into the increasingly weird rumours being told throughout the area. As Philip Spencer then went out the next day in the early morning to capture some pictures, he began to notice that some strange figure was following him in the fog. He would then quickly snap a photo of the creature, only to find that it was a small humanoid, almost alien-like creature that had been running through the fog near him. Without thinking, he chased the entity until he noticed a large dome-shaped aerial craft lift from the ground near him and take off into the sky. It wasn't long before Philip Spencer then began running back into town, noticing that more than an hour had gone missing between his sighting of the craft and the moments shortly after it disappeared. Today, the picture taken proves to be one of the biggest pieces of evidence that the encounter was genuine. Additionally, many have claimed that the lost amount of time experienced by Spencer may have been an event that was later wiped from his memory after the encounter, shrouding that time in complete mystery. The catacombs have always been a subject of intrigue, especially after a recent photograph surfaced on social media. The image, captured by a man during his expedition into the depths of the catacombs, unveiled a startling anomaly, a humanoid figure lurking within the tunnels. Given the eerie reputation of the catacombs of Paris, rumoured to house the remains of over 6 million individuals, it comes as no surprise that such mysterious occurrences are attributed to this enigmatic underground realm. The chilling revelation in the photograph casts a captivating veil of mystery over the catacombs, inviting contemplation of the spectral lore surrounding this subterranean labyrinth. Upon viewing the images, observers claimed to discern a figure resembling a human, affirming its resemblance to the enigmatic shadow people, the frequently witnessed spectral beings of paranormal lore. The precise nature of these entities remains a topic of conjecture. Descriptions depict the shadow people as amorphous, dark entities, often spotted in proximity to reputedly haunted items or sites associated with tragic events. Witnesses commonly report an overwhelming sense of dread upon encountering them, accompanied by a perceived draining of energy, leaving behind an aura of darkness. Accounts diverge on their ocular appearance, with some attributing glowing red eyes to these entities, while others describe them as possessing entirely black orbs. Their motives remain shrouded in mystery, with those who have encountered them expressing a sense of malevolence. The historical background of the region plays a crucial role in comprehending the nature of this phenomenon and the reasons behind the widespread unease associated with visiting the catacombs. With the urban population expanding, the mortality rate also rose significantly. It became evident to both the authorities and inhabitants of the area that the existing cemeteries were experiencing severe overcrowding, posing a substantial challenge for religious communities and public health. This led to a situation where those responsible for handling the deceased were unable to carry out appropriate burial rituals, provoking discontent among local religious factions. Furthermore, the exposure of bodies to the elements, and at times their incomplete burial, contributed to the spread of diseases, exacerbating the prevailing concerns. The issues mentioned earlier prompted the development of the catacombs, extensive networks of tunnels and chambers carved beneath the city to serve as an extensive and seemingly endless burial ground for the deceased. What makes this particularly unsettling is the practice of using human bones for decorative purposes, arranging them in seemingly never-ending rows along the tunnel walls. It is estimated that approximately 6 million individuals' remains are interred within the catacombs, and this number continues to rise with the ongoing discovery of new chambers, passageways, and sections within this subterranean necropolis. The realm of unexplained phenomena contains various entities that captivate curiosity, and among these, shadow people stand out. These enigmatic beings are often depicted as dark, human-like figures that swiftly traverse one's peripheral vision before vanishing into obscurity. While skeptics attribute these sightings to optical illusions or psychological effects, the numerous testimonies and eerie encounters surrounding shadow people suggest that there may be more to their existence than mere products of the mind. This spurs a profound inquiry into the validity and significance of these encounters within the sphere of unexplained phenomena. The notion of dark, sinister creatures is not limited to contemporary supernatural tales. It has profound historical and cultural origins. Across the globe, diverse societies have developed their unique perspectives on shadowy beings, frequently intertwined with traditional tales, legends, or mystical convictions. These manifestations often carry significant cultural and symbolic significance, reflecting the intricate relationship between human beliefs and the enigmatic realm of the supernatural. In various Native American cultures, the concept of shadow beings is deeply intertwined with age-old folklore and mythology. Within certain tribes, there is a firm belief in the presence of entities known as stick figures, enigmatic and shadowy figures reputed to inhabit the depths of the forests. These beings are rumored to have a propensity for seizing children or wanderers who stray too deep into the wilderness. In European folklore, there exists a long-standing association between shadow figures and a diverse range of supernatural entities. One such enigmatic entity is the notorious Hat Man, a dark, shadowy figure characterized by the presence of a wide-brimmed hat. Reports of encounters with this mysterious entity transcend various cultures, and it is frequently linked with malevolent intentions, adding to its enigmatic nature. Shadow people are often portrayed as obscure, shadowy figures that bear a resemblance to the human shape, characterized by an absence of identifiable facial features, clothing, or distinctive characteristics, contributing to their unsettling and mysterious essence. One of the most striking characteristics of shadow people is their remarkable ability to move swiftly and silently. Observers frequently describe these entities as smoothly gliding or darting across the room with an extraordinary velocity that appears to contradict the traditional laws of physics. The movement of shadow people, often described as rapid and noiseless, defies the conventional understanding of physical motion. This distinctive attribute sets them apart and leaves a lasting impression on those who have encountered them. Shadow entities, commonly known as shadow people, exhibit a peculiar propensity to abruptly and inexplicably disappear, often dissipating into walls, floors, or the darkness itself. This enigmatic vanishing act routinely elicits a deep sense of confusion and disquiet among those who bear witness to such occurrences. The frequency of encounters with shadow people is considerably more common than one might anticipate. A multitude of people from diverse backgrounds have recounted their experiences, and these encounters typically take place during periods of vulnerability, including instances of sleep paralysis, lack of sleep, or heightened levels of stress and anxiety. The phenomenon extends across a broad spectrum of individuals, underscoring its pervasive nature. It occurs with significant prevalence and is not confined to any specific group or demographic. This widespread occurrence underscores the need for a deeper understanding of the underlying factors contributing to these experiences. Numerous accounts of shadow people sightings coincide with instances of sleep paralysis, a phenomenon characterized by a temporary inability to move or speak while retaining full consciousness. Individuals experiencing sleep paralysis frequently recount encountering dark, shadowy apparitions in their living spaces, intensifying feelings of fear and unease. This intriguing correlation between sleep paralysis and reported shadow people encounters has sparked widespread interest in exploring the intricacies of these experiences and their potential psychological and physiological underpinnings. Shadow people are often linked to unsettling experiences such as nightmares and night terrors. Individuals recount being startled from their sleep in the dead of night, feeling completely immobilized by dread, while they observe indistinct, shadow-like figures in their sleeping quarters or lingering ominously over their sleeping space. The phenomenon of shadow people has garnered considerable interest, sparking discussions and investigations, particularly in the context of paranormal occurrences and during the transitional phases between wakefulness and sleep, namely hypnagogic and hypnopompic hallucinations. Individuals often report encounters with shadow people. As they transition in and out of slumber, witnesses may discern dark, phantom-like figures manifesting in their bedroom surroundings. These eerie apparitions are commonly observed during these states of altered consciousness. The concept of shadow people is deeply entrenched in the realm of the paranormal for certain individuals. Advocates assert that these entities are of supernatural origin, potentially interdimensional travelers, or even malevolent spirits. The apprehension associated with shadow people finds its origins in the intrinsic human inclination to react to unsettling and mysterious phenomena. The mere presence of something that eludes logical explanation and disrupts our grasp of reality invokes a primal fear within us. The uncanny nature of shadow people, characterized by their unsettling appearance and unnatural behavior, positions them as enigmatic entities that challenge conventional comprehension, thereby leaving those who encounter them overwhelmed with an intense feeling of dread. This fear of the unknown and the eerie presence of shadow people deeply ingrains itself within the depths of the human psyche, giving rise to an unshakable sense of unease and trepidation. Shadow people are frequently depicted as obscure, shadowy entities without defined characteristics or facial expressions. The lack of identifiable countenances or motives often leaves observers feeling unsure and uneasy. The dread of the unknown, the ambiguity of what lurks within the darkness, intensifies the fear encountered in these situations. This can lead to a profound sense of disquiet and trepidation, as individuals grapple with the enigma shrouded in darkness, igniting deep-seated fears and apprehensions. The entities known as shadow people have the perplexing ability to blur the lines between what is real and what is not within our understanding of the world. Their unexpected manifestations in ordinary situations pose a direct challenge to the reliability of our familiar environment. As a result, the unsettling intrusion into one's feelings of security and assurance significantly fuels the profound apprehension felt when encountering these enigmatic beings. The anxiety surrounding shadow people is closely linked with a wider apprehension of the paranormal. Observers frequently perceive these experiences as interactions with beings that violate conventional laws and reasoning. This apprehension originates from a fundamental belief in the limitations of the tangible world and the enigmatic domains that lie beyond. Those who encounter shadow people often interpret these experiences as encounters with entities that transcend the laws of nature, evoking a profound sense of unease and mystery. The existence of paranormal occurrences, such as shadow people, presents a formidable challenge to our comprehension of the world as we know it. Those who have witnessed these phenomena often find themselves wrestling with the ambiguity surrounding the nature of their experience, pondering whether they have come face to face with spirits, beings from alternate dimensions, or entities of an entirely uncharted realm. This pervasive sense of uncertainty further fuels their apprehension as they grapple with the daunting task of rationalizing the inexplicable. An encounter with shadow people often evokes feelings of malevolence or hostility among those who experience it. Observers often perceive these entities as more than just passive apparitions, attributing harmful intentions to them. This sense of malevolence intensifies the emotional resonance of the encounter, adding to the depth of unease and fear experienced by witnesses. Encounters with shadow people commonly evoke sensations of helplessness and a state of paralysis. Individuals often describe instances of experiencing sleep paralysis, a phenomenon characterized by temporary immobility and speechlessness despite being fully awake. This feeling of vulnerability significantly heightens the fear that accompanies encounters with shadow people. The encounters with these shadowy apparitions often reinforce the individual's sense of being defenseless, amplifying the overall distress experienced in such situations. The heightened sense of fear during encounters with shadow people is often intensified by the feeling of losing control over one's own body and surroundings. Those who witness these enigmatic entities may experience a profound sense of powerlessness as they struggle to find a means of escape or self-protection, further contributing to their vulnerability in such situations. The fear related to encounters with shadow people is influenced by cultural beliefs and tales about malevolent spirits or mysterious beings. When individuals experience such encounters, they often interpret them in the context of these cultural narratives, which serves to intensify their fear. During encounters with shadow people, fear can act as a form of coping mechanism. When faced with the incomprehensible and the mysterious, fear triggers the body's fight-or-flight response, equipping individuals to respond to potential dangers. Although fear may induce discomfort, it serves as a survival mechanism intended to intensify vigilance and attentiveness, ultimately enhancing the ability to survive and respond to threatening situations. An individual on a social media platform has shared that they devoted an extensive amount of time to meticulously examining historical documents, delving into maps, and scrutinizing satellite imagery, all in an effort to uncover the enigmatic mysteries of bygone eras. Unbeknownst to him, a momentous shift awaited in his life on that particular day, completely altering its trajectory in an unforeseen manner. On a chilly winter evening, as he delved into the depths of the internet in search of captivating satellite images, he chanced upon a photograph that truly captivated him. The aerial photograph, taken from an elevated position above Mount Ararat, revealed a massive edifice with a form that evoked the fabled Noah's Ark. The structure was of significant proportions and bore a striking resemblance to the renowned boat. The ark-like formation appeared to be emerging from the slowly melting ice and snow that had enshrouded Mount Ararat for centuries. Deeply conscious of the mountain's historical importance, which has long been regarded as the possible location of the biblical ark, he encountered an image that appeared to offer indisputable evidence, thanks to modern technology, suggesting the potential existence of the ark. This discovery held monumental significance, as it challenged prior skepticism and encouraged a fresh exploration of the mountain's legacy. The blend of historical belief and modern evidence presented a compelling narrative, igniting widespread curiosity and prompting others to join in. Unable to dismiss the possibility that he had stumbled upon a profound historical find, he embarked on a quest to verify the authenticity of the satellite image. He contacted experts in the fields of archaeology, geology, and remote sensing, eager to gather their insights and opinions. Researchers from around the globe are instantly captivated by the image. Some were skeptical, dismissing it as a natural geological formation, while others were intrigued by the possibility that this could be the evidence they had long sought. The discovery becomes even more intriguing due to the long-standing historical connection between Mount Ararat in eastern Turkey and the reputed resting place of the legendary Ark. For centuries, the location has been linked to the final resting place of the Ark, adding depth to the historical and cultural significance of this revelation. While the biblical narrative has been a source of inspiration, it has also sparked debate and skepticism. Mount Ararat, an imposing and majestic dormant volcano with an elevation exceeding 16,000 feet, has been enshrouded in enigma and folklore for centuries. According to biblical accounts, it is believed to be the landing site of the Ark following the Great Flood, symbolizing optimism and rejuvenation. The narrative chronicling Noah, his kin, and the animals they safeguarded holds pivotal significance in the realms of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, encompassing a profound and timeless tale of resilience, faith, and salvation. Moreover, this enigmatic mount has inspired countless expeditions, theological debates, and scholarly investigations, evoking a profound sense of awe and fascination among both religious adherents and academic circles. Over the course of centuries, an extensive number of explorers, thrill seekers, and religious travelers have embarked on expeditions to Mount Ararat with the intent of finding proof validating the presence of Noah's Ark. Although several individuals asserted they had come across remains of the Ark, their discoveries have frequently been met with doubt because of the absence of conclusive evidence. These pursuits have sparked widespread interest and debate, with people across different cultures and backgrounds expressing a strong curiosity about the potential discovery of such a significant historical artifact. One of the prevalent hypotheses regarding the occurrence of the Great Flood suggests that it might have been the result of a natural calamity, potentially triggered by a significant meteor or comet impact, a colossal earthquake, or a volcanic eruption. This theory denotes that the cataclysmic event was a consequence of substantial geological or extraterrestrial forces, leading to widespread devastation and inundation. According to this particular theory, the inundation would have been attributed to the melting of ice caps or extensive rainfall. This catastrophic event would have submerged extensive land areas, resulting in the destruction of entire civilizations and the decimation of a substantial portion of the world's plant and animal life. The inundation, as proposed by this hypothesis, could have had far-reaching consequences for the global ecosystem and human settlements. Another perspective posits that the Great Flood may have been a figurative or allegorical occurrence, intended to symbolize a spiritual or philosophical variety rather than a factual event. In line with this perspective, the deluge signifies a global purification or rebirth, akin to a spiritual cleansing that eradicates the transgressions and flaws of mankind, consequently paving the way for a fresh start. This interpretation emphasizes the profound significance of the flood beyond its historical interpretation, delving into its symbolic implications that hold a deep spiritual and philosophical meaning. Some researchers specializing in historical accounts and archaeological findings have posited the idea that the narrative depicting the Great Flood might have been influenced by an actual occurrence rooted in history, potentially linked to the submersion of the Black Sea approximately 7,500 years ago. Regarded as a catastrophic incident, it is thought to have decimated numerous coastal communities and compelled a large populace to seek refuge in elevated areas. This distressing event is believed to have acted as a catalyst, potentially giving rise to a plethora of deluge-related folklore and myths across different cultures around the world. This comprehensive evaluation sheds light on the potential correlations between historical realities and the genesis of legendary tales about cataclysmic floods. The Great Flood is speculated by another theory to potentially stem from a cultural recollection of the conclusion of the last ice age. This period likely brought about substantial transformations in the Earth's climate, sea levels, and geographical features. According to this line of thought, the narratives of a flood could have served as a means for early civilizations to make sense of these alterations and endeavor to comprehend their own significance within the world. This perspective delves deeply into the profound implications of how ancient societies may have sought to interpret and understand the monumental shifts that occurred during that era. Irrespective of the underlying cause or source of the Great Flood, it persists as a potent and timeless myth that captivates individuals from diverse cultures and successive eras. The concept of a catastrophic occurrence leading to the annihilation of civilizations and paving the way for a fresh start serves as a compelling symbol of optimism and rejuvenation. Furthermore, it continues to stimulate the creativity and intellectual pursuits of writers, artists, and scholars in contemporary times. The enduring allure of this myth lies in its ability to transcend cultural boundaries and continually provoke contemplation and artistic expression. The anomaly's initial sighting can be traced back to the 1950s, when a Turkish airline pilot observed an unusual object on the mountain during a flight. Subsequently, numerous expeditions were launched to explore the anomaly, yet none yielded conclusive evidence regarding its existence or characteristics. These investigations piqued substantial interest and intrigue among researchers and enthusiasts, leading to extensive deliberations and speculation about the enigma. Despite concerted efforts, the unyielding mystery surrounding the anomaly has persisted for decades, captivating the imagination of many and fueling ongoing discussions about its potential origins and significance. In the 1970s, researchers from Turkey and the United States, led by Ron Wyatt, made the bold assertion that they had unearthed the remnants of Noah's Ark on Mount Ararat. Their account detailed the unearthing of a massive, boat-like structure that lay entombed within the ice and boulders in close proximity to the peak of the mountain. According to the researchers, the structure perfectly matched the dimensions specified in the Bible for Noah's Ark, and it was constructed from a type of wood capable of enduring the harsh conditions of the mountain for millennia. This discovery sparked considerable debate and conjecture within both the religious and archaeological communities, igniting a fervent discussion about the authenticity and implications of the find. The assertions put forth by Wyatt and his group were received with doubt and dispute due to the absence of concrete proof substantiating their discoveries. Critics contended that the formation they identified might possibly be a naturally occurring rock configuration or a deposit from glacial activity. Additionally, they highlighted that the measurements they conducted did not align with the dimensions outlined in the Bible's depiction of the Ark. This controversy sparked extensive debate and raised critical questions regarding the validity of the purported discovery. Since that time, numerous subsequent missions have endeavored to explore the Mount Ararat anomaly and reveal its genuine characteristics. A variety of approaches have been employed, including the utilization of ground-penetrating radar and other cutting-edge technologies for both surface and subsurface scanning, as well as the application of conventional techniques like hiking and climbing. Despite extensive research and investigation spanning decades, the enigma of the Mount Ararat anomaly persists, lacking definitive proof to validate or dismiss its alleged identity as Noah's Ark. This enduring controversy and intrigue have spurred a multitude of conjectures and hypotheses, encompassing a wide spectrum from the mystical to the empirical. The anomaly's enduring aura of fascination has engendered an assortment of theories and suppositions, perpetuating the discourse and lending to its multifaceted nature. The Mount Ararat anomaly, situated on Mount Ararat, has been a subject of extensive debate and contention, captivating the fascination of individuals for numerous years. Some assert it to be the remnants of Noah's Ark, while others posit that it is a naturally occurring formation or a figment of human imagination. Despite the ongoing dispute regarding its true essence, the anomaly remains a source of profound interest and intrigue, particularly for those who are driven to unveil the enigmas of the ancient world. Its mysterious presence continues to fuel the imagination and curiosity of many, serving as a testament to the enduring allure of historical mysteries and the quest for knowledge. The narrative of Noah's Ark, found in the book of Genesis in the Old Testament of the Bible, recounts the account of Noah, a man who, according to the biblical story, received a divine instruction to construct a massive vessel to safeguard himself, his family, and pairs of all animal species from an apocalyptic deluge. This enduring tale has captivated individuals from diverse cultures and age groups for centuries, reflecting its universal appeal. The depth of the story encompasses the divine directive, the meticulous construction of the ark, and the preservation of various species from the catastrophic flood, rendering it a subject of fascination and enduring interest. In the biblical narrative, the decision to initiate a deluge upon the earth stemmed from God's observation of the widespread wickedness and moral corruption among the people. In light of this, God singled out Noah, a man of great righteousness, to construct a substantial vessel known as an ark. The primary purpose of this ark was to safeguard not only Noah and his kin, but also a pair of each animal species. Displaying unwavering obedience to God's directives, Noah diligently erected an ark of colossal proportions, measuring 300 cubits in length, 50 cubits in width, and 30 cubits in height. Subsequently, he meticulously assembled not only the animals, but also his family, ensuring they were all safely accommodated within the ark. Such a narrative epitomizes the profound account of God's judgment, Noah's obedience, and the preservation of life amidst cataclysmic events. The precipitation commenced, leading to the surge of floodwaters that engulfed the entire planet. Despite this deluge, the ark remained buoyant, ensuring the safety of all on board. Subsequent to enduring 40 consecutive days and nights of rainfall, the downpour ceased and the floodwaters gradually subsided. Noah released a dove in search of dry land, and ultimately, the ark found its resting place atop Mount Ararat. Soon after, Noah and his family disembarked, initiating the process of repopulating the earth. This narrative illustrates the biblical account of the Great Flood, emphasizing the perseverance and salvation of Noah and his kin. The narrative of Noah's Ark holds a significant place in popular culture, drawing considerable attention from scholars and enthusiasts alike who seek evidence to validate its portrayal in the Bible. Despite claims of discovering remnants attributed to the Ark, none have withstood the test of verification. Some experts posit that the tale of Noah's Ark may have origins in earlier flood narratives prevalent in ancient societies. According to this viewpoint, the account serves as a vehicle for imparting moral guidance on the repercussions of transgressions and the significance of unwavering faith and adherence to divine directives. The tale of Noah's Ark, irrespective of its historical roots, has deeply fascinated individuals globally. This captivating narrative has served as the focal point of numerous literary works, films, and various media platforms. Although diverse cultures have interpreted the story differently, it remains a potent symbol representing optimism, spirituality, and renewal.